The film Chi-Raq was based on an up-to-date revision of the ancient Greek play Lysistrata. It was written by Kevin Wilmot and directed by Spike Lee. This movie was set in South Chicago, where violence and brutality from gang members occurred. The name Chi-Raq is a blend between the city of Chicago and Iraq. The purpose of combining the two places together was to show the mass amount of deaths that occurred in Chicago have surpassed the deaths of American soldiers in Iraq. Chi-Raq's script was predominantly rhyming, and it incorporated satire to portray views about gun violence and sex. Key roles in Chi-Raq played an important part in telling the story of violence in South Chicago. One of my favorite roles was Nick Cannon. He played the character of Demetrius Dupree, who is also known as Chi-Raq. I feel he did an outstanding job playing the character. His character was the gang leader of a purple gang, otherwise known as the Spartans. He rivaled against the orange gang called the Trojans. The Trojans were led by a character named Cyclops, who was played by Wesley Snipes. This character was extremely funny, and the entire audience was laughing literally every time he appeared for a scene. The lovely Jennifer Hudson played the role of a heartbroken mother after her 11-year-old daughter was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting. Teyana Paris starred as Lysistrata, who was also another one of my favorite characters. She was the girlfriend of the gang leader Chi-Raq. After the accidental death of the young girl, Paris's role led a sex strike with the women in Chicago in hopes of creating nonviolence and peace amongst their community. Her idea for the sex strike came from a woman named Miss Helen. Miss Helen was played by Angela Bassett, who advised Lysistrata to not give up her body and write as a woman to a man who supports gang violence. One of my favorite characters also was John Cusack's role of Father Mike Corridan, who was a priest. Cusack showed such emotion while discussing gun violence during his sermon at the church. You could tell he was truly valued and admired in the city of Chicago. Another key character who didn't exactly have a part in the plot of the film was Samuel L. Jackson. His character narrated the film and added lots of elements of comedy. One touch of the film I didn't particularly like was that it felt really jumbled with a lot going on. It was hard to focus on the main issue because there were so many key points the writers were trying to address. I was a little confused in the beginning of the film when the lines were all rhyming. It took me a little bit to realize that rhyming was a part of the entire script, except I do think it did add a lot of humor to the film. It wasn't until halfway through the movie that I finally realized the entire storyline was based off of satire. I wish I would have known going into the movie that this was the case, because I probably would have understood and enjoyed the film a little better. Something else that bothered me about this film was how women were portrayed as sex objects. I felt it had a negative image on women, making it seem like sex is all they were good for. With that being said, I did like how all the women joined together as one to protest for a good cause. There was a lot of media and societal implications that came from this movie. One of the main points of the film was to discuss the vast amount of black murders committed by other black males. Typically, in our society, we rarely hear about these murders in the media. It seems as if the media promotes racism by only publicizing blacks being killed by whites, when in reality, shouldn't every life matter regardless of the color? The way the media portrays a story or certain topic can have a huge impact on society by shaping public opinion. The vast amount of controversy that came from this film was a good example of mass media's influence on society. The media does a good job depicting what it wants people to believe. Mass media, such as television and major motion pictures, choose the subject matter that will interest the largest population. The necessity for entertainment value often diminishes the accuracy of the information being delivered. Thank you.